I'm the F in F and Vapor, and this is our latest video. Hey, how you doing? Today's video is on a Kanger Sub Mini tanks and the rebuildable portion, or as you would probably say, a deck inside the Sub Mini. We have the first generation and we have the second generation of both of these. And so today I'm going to show you the options of both and how to repack the cotton inside of them. So let's start with the first generation. First generation, as the second generation, the cap comes off the top. But in the first generation, this sleeve actually threads off and sometimes can be difficult to get off. We found that relaxing and just barely turning it, it'll come apart. If you squeeze or do anything, to get mean with it, it seems to tighten up and not want to come apart. So keep that in mind if you take these apart. Again, that's the first generation. Second generation, the cap comes off exactly the same way, but in this respect, we've got a set screw, which I've already loosened up, and then the sleeve actually just slides off, making it a lot easier. So we'll teach you how to build put the cotton in the first generation first, because I think it uses less cotton is really what happens. And I've got some cotton here, so we're going to build a little mustache and actually put the cotton in and show you how to do it. Start out with a piece of cotton like this. We'll take a piece of it off, make it into a little mustache, and roll it into a point so we can feed it through the coil. If it's a little too thick, you just kind of twist it up on the other end and try and pull it through. Something like that. Once we get enough cotton to go through and it seems to be full-bodied on both sides, we're going to trim it off and actually put it on the base before we trim it. And I can teach you where to trim it on the first generation so that it's not too thick or too thin in there, so it doesn't either gurgle or actually burn. So you see the edge of the base here. What I'm going to try and do is trim the cotton at about a parallel to that, or just a little bit out from it, about right there on that side. Again, this one, same thing, about this length. Now that straight edge that we just cut with the scissors, we're going to try and put onto the plenum here. And actually this groove right here is where the juice actually comes up from the tank into the cotton. So essentially what we're going to do is grab a hold of this guy and take this flat edge and stick it flat on the plenum. So I grab it, stick it on there. And as you can see, that flat edge just went right up in there just like that. And we'll do exactly the same thing to the other side. Now that we've got them both in there just about like that, kind of give them a little squeeze and make sure they stay in there. We're going to thread the sleeve back over the top. I don't know if there's an up or a down to these things, but lettering will put the right side up. So we slip this guy over, we thread the sleeve on, and now this is what we've got. If you cut that cotton the right length, this will be about where it's supposed to be when it's packed. So what I'm going to do next is move the cotton either side, inside there, make sure it's not hung up in the bottom between the sleeve and the base, which it doesn't seem to be. And then what we're going to do is just center it and kind of feather the cotton out down in there, about like that. Same thing on the other side. Move it side to side. And we're going to feather the cotton out. So it looks something like that. Then of course we're going to prime it with some juice. Put the cap back on. And there's a completed build in your first generation Kanger Sub Mini deck. Okay, that one's done. Let's start with the next one. This is the second generation. Obviously, I've already showed you this, but again, we're going to take a piece of cotton, build a little mustache, and thread the coil. Of course, when you get it out of the box and it's new, You should probably put this on the deck and hook it up to a battery and actually fire the coil in order to burn off the chromium and whatever's on the surface of that coil. We're not going to do that today, but obviously remember to do that. Feed the cotton through. Get it started. Give it a little twist at this side. Get it to run through there. Something like that. We've got a consistent amount of cotton on either side. We're going to thread this into the deck like this. And obviously you can do this on top of put the base into a battery so that you're not having to hang on to it like I am. Now, second generation has got these larger holes, and so therefore we need to make sure that we leave a little bit more cotton in there so that these holes are actually covered, and so it just doesn't just come pouring through and gurgling into the air supply. So in this case, I'm actually going to cut them. If you can see the base here, I'm going to cut it about a 1/2 inch back from that base, maybe 3/8, right about there, and then turn it over, do exactly the same thing, 3/8 or so, right about there. Now again, that cut edge has got to go on the base or on the plenum inside there. So I'm going to grab a hold of it, bring it up, put it on there just like that, where the cut edge is on the base. And I'm going to do the same way on the other side. Got it? Now I've got them both held there. They seem to be pretty good position. You don't have to worry about squishing it too much. I'm going to hold it. Now I'm going to line up this groove with the screw. The screw's in the top here, right there. Hold this guy together and put the sleeve over the top. Trying not to get the cotton in between the sleeve and the base. Looks like we've got it. We'll give this guy a little tighten here so it doesn't come off. Not too tight. Tight's tight and too tight's broke. We'll reach in again, just like I showed you on the previous one, and move the cotton side to side to make sure that it's not pinched between the sleeve and the base, which we see that it's not. And then we're going to feather it out until it's looks like it's covered the hole. And that's about the right amount of cotton. If you cut the length right, the cotton will cover the hole and have the right amount of cotton in there. Same way with the other side. We'll move it side to side. Make sure it's not stuck. And we'll feather that cotton out. Pack it just a tiny bit, not too much. We don't want to make it too tight or it'll dry out and give us a cotton burn. Looks like the cotton is about, it's covered up the hole and it's about the right length and the right packing in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the cap back on, just like we did in the first generation. And now we've got the second generation build completed. Of course, remember, you're going to have to put some juice in there and prime it before you put it into service. And so there you go. First generation, second generation, Kanger Sub Mini deck builds. Well, hey, thanks for watching our latest video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or go to fnvapor.com to find our social media links. Have a great day. Hey, this is Frank. No. Right. Okay. There's nothing. There's start off like this. That's what I was trying to play.